about something that you put on replay a lot that, whether it's kind of ruminating about the past or the future, or, making up stories in your head about what potentially could go right or wrong, or, all sorts of things. We put a significant amount of the pie, like our mental pie. What's the pie, the slice of pie that you put toward something that isn't constructive. Um, so whatever that might be for you. And for some people, it can be, like an ongoing plaguing kind of thing all day long to constantly be either worrying about something or um, catastrophizing about something or um, ruminating about something in the past that you don't think you handled well and you can't let go of, or whatever it is. I'm just, those are just different ideas, but whatever is kind of formulating in your mind about what takes up a lot of airway in your mind that is unhelpful to you. I think if we really pay attention to this, sometimes, and at some, ebbs and flows, of course, but there are times when this can take up like a big piece of the pie. And it can be disturbing, right, to have our mind kind of hijacked by something. And the first task in this is to recognize how much space you're giving whatever this is. How much are you feeding what this is? And I think our yoga practice is just such a beautiful way of not only recognizing where our thoughts are going, but to give us the opportunity to choose a different path, to train our mind, to harness our mind so that we have, I hate to say the word control because, we don't want to be like controlling, but in the sense of being able to direct where we want our attention to go. So energy flows where attention goes. So whatever you're putting your mind toward, you're flourishing. You're growing that garden, whatever it might be. So if your mind seeds are not the ones that you want to be growing, use your yoga practice. This is a perfect opportunity to recognize in our practice, in our asana practice, how to harness the mind. The breath and the body are right here, right with the mind always. We don't have a mind without a body. We don't have a mind without a breath. And so these are significant tools that we have access to at any given moment when we become aware. So I'm sure you've all thought of, or heard it, like things around meditation being, like you want to be the blue sky and let the clouds just recognize them and let them pass instead of holding on to the clouds, however you want to think of it. And a lot of times, seated meditation is not easy for many people. Sitting still the volume turns up a lot for things that bother us at times. So sometimes if you need a back door into that meditative awareness, moving the body can be a great way of doing this. So this is just yet again one of the many ways in which our yoga practice, when we combine mind, body, and breath, we have the opportunity to work with becoming aware and changing our mind. Okay. All right. So go ahead and sit up straight and tall. And whatever you've come up with, the first thing I would recommend is to not judge yourself. If you are having a lot of thoughts that you're not appreciating for if something's kind of intruding into your mind space that you'd rather it not be there, the first thing is to just make space, to not judge, but to make a space for awareness and for kind of curiosity about whatever this is. So as you drop in and close your eyes, and now whatever this is on your mind, probably because I've brought it up for you. Um, and we can recognize and be aware of what this is. And let's take a breath and let our breath kind of move into the mind. Imagine that your mind is like a big room. And when we have thoughts constantly, it's like crowded guests in a big room. So with your breath, imagine that you are opening the windows, opening the curtains, opening the shades, opening the doors, letting air and light and space in. And when you use the breath to kind of clear this space in the mind, see if you can just gently, kind of like when I open the door and all the moths, I try to get them to leave my house. Maybe you can just open the doors to the mind and let some of these um, intruding thoughts dissipate. Turn your attention, your energy toward the sensation of breath in the body. Try to really hone the mind, train it to listen to the sensations of the body well. What are you feeling in your nose, in your trachea, in your lungs? How about the movement of your diaphragm, the movement of your rib cage? And you feel the spine slightly change shape as you inhale and as you exhale. And you hear the sound of your breath. So again, we're just training the mind to listen to different cues, to pay attention to different um, heightened sensations, so that we can train ourselves to be in present moment awareness. As you start to feel your body more, locate somewhere, anywhere in your body that feels free. Doesn't matter where you're finding, but just scan and scan until you find a place that's like, oh yeah, that one's a nice, lofty, spacious place in my body. Bring your mind into the sensation itself. And wrap gratitude around this sensation. Ready? Let's bring our hands together at our heart and create an intention. See if you can set a tone for your practice that's really about harnessing the mind space and giving it room to feel this moment and then this moment, to feel the body, to feel the movements that you'll do, to feel the breath. Let's release your hands and let's find our way onto our back. All right, so as you feel into a sense of length as you lie down, have this feeling, the freedom that you just found somewhere in your body, seek it again when you lie down. And it might be in more places or different places or less places, but wherever you're finding it now, again, let's just bring our awareness into this place in the body and wrap it in some gratitude. And then stretch your arms overhead and feel into the reaching. So stretching the right side and stretching the left side and coming into a beautiful movement potential here. One side getting a little longer, the other side feeling your shoulders and your hips and your spine and your breath. And every time you come upon a new sensation in the body, try to savor. We're going to move, maybe a teeny bit on the slow side today so we can really savor sensations. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side.
feel as you sway from side to side, just that little bit of sloshing, let your brain rest in your skull, allow your face to relax. All right, and then let's circle the knees, kind of rolling in one direction. And then rolling in another direction. And then opening up and bringing your knees apart. And then bringing the knees back together. And just feeling that sense of freedom through the hip joints. Maybe through just this little bit of movement that we've been doing, you're noticing something in your body that might need some attention today. Right knee into your chest, left leg coming along on the ground. And let's open up your ankles and feet, just like you moved your hips. Let's move our ankles. Some rolling, some wiggling. Let your head get nice and heavy. Relax your shoulders. And then change sides. Left knee into your chest, right leg long on the ground. And feel into that movement of your ankles again. It can be big swooping circles. It can be little tiny movements. See if you can sense into the sensation of what you're feeling. Live there. Live in the sensations of the body as best as you can. Even if they're difficult sensations, see if you can just stay present. Reach out, stretching your limbs wide open. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Then exhale and draw your knees into your chest and bring your head up. Twice more, opening up the pathways in your body. Stretching your limbs wide. Exhale, drawing your knees in. Head comes up. Put your head down onto the ground. Put your right foot on top of your left knee. A very gentle reverse pigeon pose. So I'm going to hold my hand on my foot and my other hand on my knee. So I'm not pulling super close into my chest, but I'm rocking left and right. I invite you to do the same, or however other variation of this posture to open your hip a little bit. Release. Put the other foot on top, left foot on right knee. You can draw in real close if you want. You can do a little movement if you want. Just letting the hips start to open up. We're going to do a little bit of balance work today, just a bit, so that, I think oftentimes balance postures are a great way to kind of harness the mind. We can't think about a lot of other things when we are thinking about not falling down. All right, put 2 feet onto the ground. We're going to keep the left foot on the ground. Bring your right leg straight up. Interlace your right hands behind your hamstring and press your hamstring into your hands. And let's flex and point the toe up there in the air. And you can also include some bigger ankle movements. So this will be different than what we felt on the floor because we've already stretched that line, the back line of the body, by lifting our hamstring up. So notice what's here. And then we're going to hold on to the hamstring, cross your right leg over to the left and back, and over to the left and back. So we're just getting a little bit of waking into that outer hip. And then hold that leg over to the left, so we're crossing the midline. Stretch through your entire foot and reach your hip back down toward the ground. Move your hip away from your shoulder. Move your crown away from your tails. Just feel all those long lines. And then release that. Bring your knee into your chest and put that right foot on the floor. Interlace your hands the opposite way behind your left hamstring. All right, so pressing your hamstring into your hands, root your femur bone down, lengthen through your spine. And let's go ahead and flex and point and roll and move however you want to kind of open up a little bit more deeply your feet. You can do this slowly where you hang out in a point up toward the sky for a moment. You can do this and then pull your toes down toward your chest and lift your heel, or you can do it a little bit more quickly. So, just kind of find any little nook and cranny in your foot that you haven't found yet. then let's go ahead and begin to cross your left leg over to the right and back, just kind of waking up that outer hip a little bit. And when you're ready, after a few passes, we'll cross and stay. So left leg crosses past the midline, left femur bone into that hamstring. Feel the stretch through your foot, the stretch through your crown. Breathing deeply. And then lift that leg back up. 2 legs coming into the air now. Maybe stretch your arms overhead and have a little bit of core engagement here. Maybe your arms are down at your sides. Both feet point up and then flex down. Point up and flex down. Separate your feet. One more round of some ankle rolls. So hopefully our feet are getting very awake and alive. All right, and then release your legs down. Stretch wide like a star. Deep breath in. Exhale, knees into your chest. Head comes up. Let's roll to your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so as we find our way here in cat-cows, we're being very careful and mindful to notice what's the spine feeling today? What is it that you need in your body? Maybe after a few passes of cat-cow, you're doing some different movements. Maybe you're rolling through your hips or moving through your shoulders. And again, put your mind in your body. Try to train yourself to be in the breath and in the sensations of the body. In this way, our yoga practice is such a gift. It's a reprieve from the constancy of intrusive thinking, if that is something that you struggle with. And it's also very different from just distraction. You know, a lot of times we can have distraction as a way of kind of moving our mind away from something we don't want to be thinking about. But instead, let's be fully present instead of fully stepping away. Right? So drop into this moment, drop into child's pose, walk the hands forward, sink the hips down, reaching through your arms and let your shoulders open up here. How's your back feeling? You let the breath trail down your spine a bit. And we'll walk the hands over to one side or the other and just starting where you want to, dropping your hip down and feeling that side body open. Coming back the other way, walking the hands over to the side, drop your hips down, stretching long through your shoulder, through your ribs, dropping weight into your hip, filling yourself with breath. Come back to center. Bring your hands down onto the mat, knees again. Wag your tail, move your head, see what feels good. And let's lift to dog pose, lengthening upward. Take a moment to pedal your feet to kind of get your hands where you want them to be. You give yourself an opportunity to feel this deep length and reach in the body. Feel your heart lift toward your pelvis. Feel the grounding through your hands and your feet. Connect to the earth. Feel your yield. Feel the push off and feel the reach. Notice what your breath is doing. And, you know, there's probably a lot of lights going on in your body as far as letting your mind have an opportunity to pay attention to sensation. There might be a lot here. So feast in your sensation. And come back down onto all fours and find your movements of your spine here. Okay, let's find a twist. Left arm lifting up to the sky, open across your chest. Then exhale and drop that shoulder down, twisting here. Let your head rest, gaze toward the ground, open up the back rib cage, finding your breath. Now reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down, let's switch sides. Reaching that arm up, exhale, sliding the arm underneath. Finding your breath, letting your head rest, keeping your neck neutral and soft. Ready, that arm can lift high to the sky again. Hand comes down onto the ground. Dog pose one more time. Root into the hands and the feet. Feel those points of contact. We have a lot of connection to the earth here. Breathing well. And now let's see if you can stretch your heels back toward the wall behind you and then descend them. Spread the toe bones. Lift through the backs of the legs. Sit bones high. And then walk your feet forward and come to Uttanasana. Folding deeply, knees can bend as much as you want to. Inhale for a halfway lift, letting the hamstrings open up again. Exhale and melting back down. Grab your blocks if you don't already have them close by. Go ahead and grab them. Put your hands upon them. Okay, so feet hip width apart. And feel into that long half lift here. So femur bones back, shin bones a little bit forward so you're not slamming your knees back. Open up the bottom of your feet. Root into the big toe mounds, the inner heels. Root into the outer toe mounds so you have that sweep across the toe beds. Feel into the outer heel. All right, and then isometrically root down through those 4 points and then drag your feet apart. And just notice, do you have one side that lights up faster, more easily? Are you a little bit more engaged in those outer hip muscles on one side than the other? And then relax and melt. Bend your knees. Let your spine soften, dangle your head. Be very mindful coming up. We've been down a bit, so come up slow and steady as you stand. Always taking care of your equilibrium. You know, if you need to adjust your blood pressure by squeezing your hands or squeezing your thighs, you can always do that. Take a deep breath in, reach the arms up to the sky. Let's open up the heart, lean back, enjoy. Give the gift of your heart into the day. Lift into the day. And let's cactus open the arms, spread those wings, feel your back body. Wake up back there. And exhale, and forearms come to touch. Inhale, arms up high again, the big swoop forward and down. Find your breath. Inhale for a halfway lift, extending through your heart. Exhale, melting, folding. Step your left foot back, right foot in front. A lunge. Opening the heart before we start to move. Reach the heart long and feel that femur bone, that back leg femur bone lift. Widen your sit bones. And let's begin to bend and straighten the front knee. As you straighten it, maybe your toes come up and your chin tucks. Maybe not. Maybe your leg doesn't go all the way straight. Maybe your hands are on the ground. Maybe they're on blocks. So just find your pathways into your body. See if you can keep your spine spacious as you do this. How's your breath? The lunge, ground your legs, close your eyes for a moment. Cover your hands off the blocks, but stay low. Bring your arms back behind you. Keep your eyes shut. Heads and the arm bones lift. Find your legs without your eyes. Root in, and then open your eyes. Gratitude for your vision. Inhale, reaching up, crescent lunge. Lengthen, try to lift your ribs off your hips. Lift your hips off your legs. Ground your feet into the earth. Exhale, back foot comes forward, fold deeply. Let the back line open. Inhale for a halfway lift, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, melt again. Step your other foot back, left foot's in front now. Right foot is back there, feel your lunge. The heart is open, lift your femur bone, widen your sit bones, feel that your knee tracks right over your ankle. Find your breath as you begin to move, straightening the front knee and bending. Take your time. See what it feels like
to move with the rhythm of your breath instead of faster than the rhythm of your breath. And this is just a suggestion. You know, you get to move how you want to move. As long as you're sticking with the principles of stability in your body, try to have freedom to experiment and see what feels good for you. When you feel ready, ground into your legs. Lift your hands off your blocks, reach them back behind you, close your eyes for a moment. See how much we rely on our vision. Heads and the arm bones lift, ribs lift off your thigh. Open your eyes, push through your feet. Inhale, lifting up. Find your breath, reach your arms upward, lifting the heart to the day again. Release your hands down to the ground, back to dog pose. Long spine here. See how your body's starting to loosen and warm and open. Round through the four corners of your hands and across the toe bends. When you feel ready, isometrically pull your feet apart from each other, away from the midline, and turn on those muscles in the outer hips. Okay, release. Go ahead and come forward into a plank, holding yourself steady, shoulders away from the ears, collarbones broaden, inner thighs lifting. Find the ground, knees come down first. Have a couple of good shoulder rolls here. Open up through your heart for a cobra when you feel ready. Melting, coming back down. Put your hands underneath your head. Let's take our legs a little wider apart. Feel the edges of your mat with your toes. Take a deep breath in. Lift your legs. Toes are pointing down for this variation. You can lift your head up a little bit or keep it down, feeling into the outer hips. And exhale and release your legs. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees. Just get a little ease across your back. Finding your breath. Next round, we're going to turn our feet out, but do it from the hips. So rest on your inner knees a little bit instead of on the kneecaps. So feel yourself in an external rotation and notice if your sacrum just kind of compresses. See if you can still broaden across your sacrum and SI joints, and then lift your legs. Core is engaged, hips are engaged. Breathing well. And then exhale and release. Bring your knees back to neutral and windshield wiper your knees left and right. Okay, draw your left knee up high toward your armpit. Stay low in the Sphinx. Move your blocks out of the way. Bring them forward in front of you. And we're going to just let the low back open up a little bit here. And we're going to turn this into a twist. So take your right arm, cross it over to the left side of your mat underneath your chest, and then twist open. Breathing well. Head is heavy. Enjoy the opening in your body. Coming back around, coming onto the ground, switching sides. Right knee up high toward your armpit. You can stay low in your torso to begin. And when you feel ready, take your left arm across in front of your chest over to the right side of your mat and twist open here. Full breaths. Just enjoy the spaciousness that you're creating. Remember to feel into sensation, to feel into the rhythm of your breath. Wrap whatever feels good in gratitude. When we harness gratitude, it's such a balm for mind protection. Let's go ahead and come back to center. Up onto all fours. And let's wag your tail and move your ribs and wiggle your shoulders and move your head. Anything that feels good. Remember to feel good. See if you can find parts of your practice, even though you might have pain in certain places or discomfort or you don't like something, seek out the pleasure as well.
Right, so drop back into dog pose, lift up, reach through your spine. And then let's walk our feet forward, come to Uttanasana again. Inhale for a halfway lift, extending through your spine. Exhale and melting. Come into a chair, but with our feet hip width apart. Become low. Bring your hands on the outsides of your knees. Ground the inner feet, big toe mounds, inner heels, and then push your knees into your hands. Keep grounding the inner feet. Long spine. Inhale and rise all the way up. Bring your arms to the sky, reaching and lengthening. Exhale, coming back to center. You can do this with your arms at your hands, at your heart, or you can do this with your arms out. We're gonna drop weight into our right foot and lift open to like the beginnings of a cartwheel. Toes are pointing forward. Find your breath. Exhale down into a regular chair pose, legs together, palms together. Big breaths here. Push off the ground as if you wanted to stand up, but nothing's moving. Okay. And then we'll come to the second side. Standing on our left leg, reaching the right leg out. Spread your arms, just testing a little bit of balance. Toes pointing straight and core is engaged. And then one more time, coming into a chair, toes to touch, palms together. Find your way here. Root into your right foot a little deeper. We're gonna hover your left foot off the ground. Just finding those muscles that support this. Engage your pelvic floor and your core to help. And then put your left foot down onto the ground. And let's go ahead and hover your right foot off the ground. Find your breath. Find your gaze point. 2 feet on the ground. Back to your right foot. Over your left off the ground. Stay in that one-legged squat, and then we're going to slowly lift, bringing our left knee up in the air. Notice if you push your pelvis forward, see if you can draw your thigh bone, that standing leg thigh bone back. Unlock your knee. Reach your arms up to the sky. Finding breath, let's twist to the left. Drop your shoulders, take your right thigh bone back. Inhale, reaching the arms back up in the air, foot down onto the ground. Find your 2 feet. Gratitude for the ease of just being 2 feet on the ground. Root into the left foot well. We'll lift up your right knee. We're going to go backwards through the side, so taking it in a little different pathway. Find that sense of balance. Hug your left hip in, thigh bone moves back, unlock your knee. Inhale, reach the arms up in the air, twisting to the right. Drop the shoulders down, finding your breath. Notice if it's a little easier to balance because we didn't do the squat first, or is it a little bit more challenging? Inhale, reach those arms back up. Slowly lower your foot down, squat to a hover. Bring your hands together at your heart. And then place that foot down, chair pose, drop in, arms back, lower your chest. Inhale, full chair pose. Exhale, lower your body, arms back. This time we're gonna come up onto our toes. Pass through a chair pose, up onto both feet, toe beds. Lengthen, find your drishti gaze. Bring your arms out to the sides. And then put your heels back down. We're going to layer upon this. Take a deep breath in. As you're ready, exhale, chair pose. This time, we're going to hover into our left foot. Lift your right leg, knee up. So your right foot is just hovering on the ground. Finding breath. Inhale, come up to stand, reaching that knee up in the air, arms up in the air.
Twist to the side again. Find your breath, thigh bone moving back. Inhale, bring the arms back up in the air. This time we'll take it toward Virabhadrasana 3. So reach forward, standing on that leg, hug your core in, find those outer hip muscles. Engage your glutes, both sides. Arms back behind you. Lift your triceps, ribs in. And then come back all the way. One more time, reaching that knee up, arms coming to the sky. And then place your foot down. Bring your hands together at your heart. Find your breath. Again, gratitude for these 2 feet that so easily support you. Bring your feet together. Inhale up onto your toes. Exhale, chair pose, move through, lean forward, arms back. Inhale, coming up, chair pose. Finding your breath. Breathing deeply. Coming all the way up to stand. Trace down through the midline of your body. Pause here for a moment. Notice when your feet are together, your balance is a little bit different. Root into the big toe mounds, the inner heels. Find your way back to a chair. Finding your breath. Inhale, come up to stand. Find your breath again. Back to a chair. Over into your right foot, lift your left knee. Find your breath, lift all the way up to standing. Bring that knee high, reaching the arms high, twisting to the left. Finding your breath, thigh bone back. Inhale, arms coming up. Bring that knee back behind you. We're moving toward Virabhadrasana 3. Bring your arms back, feet next to your pelvis. Palms facing the ground, triceps engaged, ribs hugging in. Square your hips. Use that leg in the air. Lift through your glutes and your hamstring. Finding your breath. And then one more time, reaching back up. Knee comes to the sky, arms up, and then place your foot down, hip width apart. Again, just enjoying that sense of ease. Let's move through a vinyasa. So if you're not at the front of your mat, come to the front of your mat. Inhale, arms lifting. Exhale, folding forward. Just let your back open. Enjoy your 2 feet. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt and fold. Step back. Whatever foot you don't want to bring back first. See if you can always, find some balance across your patterns. So that might mean moving one foot back first before the other when it's not a natural pattern in your body. Heart lifting, feel the extension. And let's come forward into a plank. Holding yourself steady here, finding your breath. Shoulders away from the ears, breathing deeply. Knees on the ground, slowly lower yourself down. Take your arms out in front of you, palms on the ground. A nice wide legs as well. So get your arms and your legs wide and lift toward a back bend. Exhale and relax. Let's come on to our right side. Bend your knees, lying on your side here for a moment. You can use a block for your head if you want to. And straighten both legs on the ground. You can have your right arm up over your head, or you can be like me where I have it right in front of me. Your choice. Reach the left arm up in the air. Try to be on a slack line, where you're just like on a little skinny rope with your body instead of leaning back or forward. Press your right leg into the ground. Before you lift your left leg, press your entire right leg all the way to your heel down. Feel your side waist engage a bit. Lift your left leg up in the air. And just feel into the work of both stabilizing on the ground and lifting into the air. Finding breath here. Go ahead and lower that leg back down. Come onto your back before we do the second side. Grab a block, stick between your thighs. Be closer to your knees or closer to your pelvis, whatever feels better. Inhale, lift up into a bridge. Climb onto the tops of your shoulders and root it with the block. Let the block help you root into the center line. Feel the feet, four corners. And lower your pelvis back down onto the ground. Get rid of the block and windshield wiper your knees. Come into that ease in the spine. Turn your head in opposition of your knees. And we'll find our way onto our left side. So coming onto your left, you can support under your head if you'd like. Okay, we're gonna take our legs straight on the ground. Your left arm can be out in front of you or over your head. Right arm lifting to the sky. Press your left leg, your whole left leg, from your hip to your heel into the ground. Feel your side waist engage. Lift that left arm and leg in the air now. Try to be on that slack line so we're not leaning back or forward. Use those outer hips. Engage your core strongly here. That transverse abdominis wrapping around your waist. Relax your neck. Release and relax that pose. Let's go ahead and find our way back onto all fours. We're going to come into Vasisthasana, the balance pose. And if you can either do this on your hand or even on your forearm if your wrists are unhappy. And remember, when we come into this pose, you can have your feet stacked one over the other for this posture, or you can have your top leg in front of you on the ground, or you can have your knee on the ground. If you're doing the knee on the ground version, which I'm going to do the knee on the ground version, we'll start with the right side. When you do this, try to have your knee in line or your shin in line with your knee instead of perpendicular to the mat. Have it the length of the mat. So if you're on the long edge of your mat, our shin is on that long edge too. You can put your hand on the ground or on the block. Open up through your chest and just feel this is different than when we have our shin perpendicular. Press into the shin. As you're ready, lift your other leg up in the air. Feel your heart open, engage. Now, if you're doing a full Vasisthasana and your legs are straight, you can still lift that leg off the other leg. So whatever's working. And then when you are ready, come back down onto the ground and we'll move to the second side. All right, so again, if you're doing the variation like me with your knee down, you're gonna have your left hand, your left knee, your left foot, and your right foot on the ground, everything on a tightrope. If you can't be on that balance beam, take your left hand out to the left more so that you have a little broader base there. But try to keep your knee, your heel, and your ankle, your left knee, your left foot, and your right ankle all lined up. And reaching open, shoulder blades down the back. Maybe this is enough for you and you're like, oh no, I can't lift my leg. But if there's a little bit more to give, lift that leg in the air. And if it messes with your balance, press your shin a little deeper. Take your left hand a little more out to the left. Find your breathing. Ground and rest in child's pose. You can have your arms overhead or down at your sides, whatever feels really nice for your body. Let your breath travel down your back a little bit. Feel into the fullness of your breathing. onto your sit bones, sitting up. We're gonna do this perhaps with holding the backs of our knees. Perhaps your heels stay on the ground. Perhaps you don't hold and you lift up. Perhaps you hold when you lift up. Perhaps your legs go straight. Perhaps your arms release. So your variation of both. What you don't want to have happen is for your body to round way back and for you to end up at the top of your sacrum. Try to be in your sit bones. And for some of us, that might mean, because our backs are a little tender in this position, that your feet stay on the ground. Okay. This is a lot of core work, just keeping your feet on the ground to elongate the spine. Okay. So do the variation that's correct for your body for today. Okay. So breathing well, keep that length of your spine, engage your hip flexors, reach out of your pelvis. Full breaths. And then release your feet down. Come back up onto all fours and wiggle your spine around to make sure that nothing untoward happened to your spine. Sometimes when we get into those kind of, spinal holding postures, we can take a little bit, if our cores can't hold us, our backs will. So notice how you feel. Curl your toes under and lift all the way up to dog pose. This time, take your feet wide and turn your toes in. Just get a little reprieve across the sacrum and then through the hips. Full breaths. Okay. Come forward, a wide, deep squat. Elbows inside your knees. Turn sideways on your mat. Turn your toes out a little bit and drop down. Just opening up the hips. And then inhale and come to a standing posture. Find your breath. We'll come into Ardha Chandrasana and we'll do this through either triangle pose or Parsva Konasana. I always have a little bit too narrow of a space to do this. Usually when I'm on my own, I do it the other way, but for you to be able to see what I'm doing, I'll be this way. So I'm going to come into a very short Parsva Konasana. I wish I could make my leg longer. I'm going to look at my foot and make sure my right foot doesn't move. I want it to point straight instead of turning in or out. I'm going to come on up, put my hand on a block, and find Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Stretch your heel away from your tail away from your head. Open across your heart. Unlock your standing knee. Bring your body into your breath. Bring your breath into your body. And then we're going to slowly come out of the pose from whence we came. And we'll come to the second side. So you can do this from triangle pose. If you prefer to have your legs straight to start, that's fine too. The most important thing is that our toes are not turning in or out. Okay, so find either triangle pose or Parsva Konasana, and then we'll take a step onto that right foot. Take your left hand on a block. The left hand can go out to the left more a little bit if you need extra balance support. Notice when you come into the posture, if you've swayed your back, draw your ribs in and stretch your tail toward your foot. Unlock your standing knee. Find your breath. Soften through the base of your skull. Soften your eyes. Use those side waist muscles. Use your hips. Breathing well. The giant step back. Come out of the pose. Come to Tadasana. Feet hip width apart or together, however you like to stand. Just pause for a moment. Fill your breath up. Empty your breath out. When you feel ready, reach the arms, lengthening to the sky. And then exhale. Fold forward, let your back lengthen. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt and fold. Step back to dog pose.
Feeling into the reach of your body. Maybe your toes want to turn in again. Finding breath. Come forward into a plank. Stretch your heels back. Stretch your shoulders away from the ears. Lower yourself down. Gentle cobra pose, maybe even a sphinx. Melt and relax. Choices here. Pigeon pose, reverse pigeon pose. Which one would you like to do? If you're in pigeon pose and you need some support, by all means, take a blanket underneath your hip or pelvis, or block, or whatever you want. If you're on your back, right foot on top of left knee. If you're in pigeon, right leg forward first. Lengthen through your spine. Make sure when you come into the fullness of your pose that your head can relax either onto a block or onto the floor. Feel into that reach of the heart, stretching your spine, letting it open up. Bring your breath here. Full spacious inhale. Full spacious exhale. Bring your hips open. Find our way. Coming out of the pose, taking your time, transitioning how you'd like, switching sides. As you come finding your way, maybe your prop needs are different on one side versus the other. Maybe do pigeon pose and reverse on the other. So just whatever your body, check in with your knees, your hips, your ankles, your spine, your SI joints. Make sure everything's supported in the way it needs to be so that your spine can stay spacious. You have a good stretch in your hip without panic or strain. Bring yourself into your breath. Out of the posture whenever you're ready, and find your way towards Shavasana. If there's poses you still need to do, then keep moving your practice in the direction it needs to go. Before resting fully, I'm going to do a twist each side, but maybe your body needs something different. If you still want a little bit of the outer hip stretch, if you're doing a twist, you can try straightening that top leg and holding your big toe or your shin so that your hip opens up a little bit more. Maybe you're in a happy baby pose. Maybe you're in a supported bridge. Maybe you're in plow pose. So whatever is right for your body. So remember that Shavasana is so important. So if there's any hindrance to your body settling, figure out what that might be. Do you need a little extra propping somewhere? Is the light in your eyes? Do you need to cover your eyes? Bring yourself here. Now, the beauty of this pose, if we can train ourselves to be present, is there's so much surrender, so much ease that's available if we allow it. So as you lie down, make sure you're comfortable and supported so that your body parts are not talking to you negatively. And then melt into the sensation that you feel. Feel your head melt down. Feel all the muscles around your skull and your eyes rest. Feel into the freedom of your jaw and your tongue and cheekbones. Melt the inner walls of your throats and the base of your skull. Feel the heaviness of your lungs. Feel the fullness of your breath where your ribs move, and your spine moves. How it feels to be full of breath with breath.
On your way to your side. Carefully, slowly bring yourself upright. Just notice the state of your mind. Are you a little more at ease? Is there more space in your mind? Has the room kind of cleared out? To offer the gift of an open mind, spacious mind to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.